Mr. President! Mr. President! The network's been hacked! Oh no. Looks like I'll have to call the Processlayer. Excuse me, are you the Processlayer?
The Processlayer. There's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
What do they call you now?
I go by Mathmech now.
Are you using these devices to hack the system?
Oh, it's porn. I just look up a lot of porn.
Oh, okay. Sorry to bother.
Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, back again with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. Well, you asked for it, you demanded it, and no matter how much I told you it wasn't going to end the way you wanted, you were relentless. It may not be my strongest subject, but I'm prepared to bite the bullet and pay my penance for skipping calculus class every 6th period of high school. Presenting Mathmech. So here's the list, and... okay, let's just get this out of the way now. Sigma balls. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. So firstly, for those of you that don't know, Mathmech is an archetype for nerds. These Cybersal level 4 monsters each represent a different operation of mathematics: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, sigma, and nabla. Okay, clearly I wasn't paying enough attention in math class because I'm a little lost on these last couple. Anyway, each of them swarms the board in their own special way. Some by special summoning themselves, some by tagging out other Mathmech monsters, and some by both. The end goal is to summon their associated link monsters, a 3k towers that deals double damage, or a 2,500 that targets and destroys 2 cards your opponent controls. This, coupled with the graveyard effects of the mechs giving the Synchro siblings bonuses like additional attack, seems like a sweet setup to subvert expectations and let the nerds beat up the jocks for once. There's something beautifully ironic about using so much brain power just to end on a board of one big bungus. Unfortunately, if you're comparing it to Crusadia already, think again. There are 2 things you should know before you sleeve up Subtra. The archetype is clearly meant to blind second and OTK, but it's lacking both the resilience through interaction of something like Orchest and any way to pierce at all. Since you're routinely making monsters with 2 or 3 materials, investing your entire hand just to be defeated by a defense position dingus can be debilitating. Our list aims to downplay these downsides by doing 2 things. Firstly, including a combination of cards that radically raises the ceiling on our power plays, the Balancer Lord suite, and secondly, by giving this going second archetype a reasonable plan for the play. With a hand that includes any 2 summonable Cybers, we can Xyz summon Mathmech Dalambertian, which is probably some nerd shit, who can search any spell or trap to our hand. Thankfully, Konami has left several instant win buttons limited, so we'll be searching Imperial Order and hoping for the best. So with that, let's get into the card by card. Firstly, our Mathmechs. 3 Adion, who adds 1,000 attack to a monster on board to special himself. 3 Subtra, who can make a monster lose 1,000 attack for a free special. 3 Multiplier, who can change the level of a Mathmech to 8 and double their Synchro Dingus's attack. 3 Division, who contribute to Cybers in the extra monster zone, especially Mathmech from the hand and the graveyard, then halves a monster's attack when it's sent to the graveyard. 3 Sigma, who can special summon from the hand or the graveyard if you don't have anything in the extra monster zone, and can be either a tuner or a non-tuner for a Mathmech Synchro. Finally, we're on Nabla, who contribute to Cybers to summon a Mathmech from the Math deck. When it goes to the graveyard, one of your monsters can attack twice, but only on monsters. Finally, Balancer Lord is critical to our combos, and Ash insulates us against unfairness. We're on 3 of the Mathmech Monster Reborn, a set of Signet Mining, 3 Called, and 2 Instant Fusion. Sometimes we need extra material, a removal spell, or a spare Cybers. Finally, we've got Impermanence and the searchable Superfactorial and Order. In the extra, we are on our Instant Suite, Duplexer, Muddragon as a 4-star, and Thousand Eyes, 2 Final Sigma, 1 Processor Magma, which might be better, 1... Dalambertian, Laplacian, who's a discount Trishula, Nightmare's Unicorn and Phoenix, 2 Cybers Wicked, I kept finding I needed a second in testing, and some combo critical Cybers, Link Disciple, Link Devotee, and Link Haribo. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Dark Magician, and it appears our opponent has bricked! Dark Magician bricking? Say it ain't so! This game showcases just how available the OTK is, even through multiple pieces of disruption. You can see that our opponent has drawn 3 hand traps, one of which is Nibiru. Unfortunately for them, they don't have much to do on their first turn, but look at their grip and pass. We'll lead with a copy of Sigma. Afterwards, we'll special summon a copy of Subtra from hand. Following that, we're going to link summon a Link Disciple, prompting a Phantasme from our opponent, and there's the starter for next turn. Let's end this now. We'll get a couple of tokens with our copy of Devotee, and that's 5. Our opponent's going to Nibiru, but they make a critical error and summon it in attack position. We'll activate the Grave Effect of Division to bring that down to 1500 before activating Balancer Lord, normal summoning a copy of Nabla, using Nabla's effect to tag into a multiplier, using Multiplier to make Nabla an 8, Synchro summoning a copy of Final Sigma, using the Grave Effects of both Multiplier and Nabla, and dealing a cool 9,000 points of damage. So not a particularly exciting Game 1, but our Game 2 looks to be a crowd pleaser. Our opponent's playing Dream Mirror, an archetype whose new support has given it a ton of hype, and a ton of requests for me to take a second look. Don't worry, I'll do whatever the SEO demands. Our opponent's going first, and they've drawn Extravagance. Now I know what my opponents feel like. They'll activate it and draw a couple of cards off the top, following it up with a Terraforming for a Terror. They're going to normal summon a copy of Light Akelos, tag it to Dark Akelos, use the effect of Dark Akelos to special summon a Light Akelos, whose effect they will use for Phantasms. They're going to set a copy of Fantasy, then get the fuel for it by tagging through their field spells at end step. For turn, we draw a Nabla. We're going to lead with a copy of Signet Mining. We'll normal summon a copy of Balancer Lord, use its effect, and then special copy of Subtra. We're going to take 300 off of the Terror, and it's at this point I realize, oh no, we're taking 300 for every special we're performing, huh? Well, time to get fast and loose with life points. We'll link summon a copy of Wicked and a copy of Link Haribo. This triggers the effect of Wicked and allows us to banish this copy of Balancer Lord from Graveyard, which we will use to special summon a Nabla from our hand. We'll use Nabla to go into a Division, and then of course we'll use the effect of Division as well to tag into 2 additional Mathmech. We're taking a ton of damage in the process, but we finally made it to a Synchro, and we will go to battle phase. Our opponent will reveal the Fantasy at this point, but thankfully I think we can still chew through the board. We'll attack into the Light Akelos, we will call it as they chain it out, and of course it's the wrong Dream Mirror for our opponent to be able to tag out of the Dark Akelos. In main phase 2, we'll special 1 additional Mathmech and go into Laplacian, who will get this Dream Mirror off our opponent's side of the field and a card out of their hand. Thankfully, it wasn't the Morpheus. I like those bricks. They'll set 1 card, we draw for turn. It's an instant fusion. So now the weakness of this deck becomes abundantly clear. We don't really have any offensive prowess to speak of. For turn, we draw an Ash Blossom. We'll attack again and pass it back. Thankfully, our opponent's drawing exceptionally dead. If they'd drawn any action, we might be in a pickle. We'll activate the Mathmech Reborn to get a Nabla, and suddenly we can pop off once again. We'll bring back this copy of Sigma, activate Multiplier so we can go to Final Sigma, Multiplier on the Final Sigma, attack into our opponent's set monster, and get in for 6,000. That's almost lethal. Let's see what they find off the top. It's not going to be enough. So, it's time for Game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing Salamangreat, one of the stickiest decks of the format. Let's see if we can chew through it. They're going to lead with a copy of Salamangreat Gazelle, sending a Spinny to Graveyard. Afterwards, they're going to Reborn the Spinny so they can overlay for Mirage Stallion and activate its effect to get a Jack Jaguar from deck. They'll link summon a copy of Sunlight Wolf before activating the effect of Will of the Salamangreat to bring back the Jack Jaguar at link point, adding the copy of Gazelle to hand, and link summoning a Baylynx, getting a copy of Sanctuary. Oh my goodness, reborning a Jack Jaguar and setting a card. They didn't even have to set Sanctuary for this. Shoot. We'll lead with a copy of Signet Mining. We'll normal summon a copy of Balancer Lord and activate its effect, which eats an impermanence. That's fine, we have enough freebies. We're going to special summon a copy of Subtra from hand. Afterwards, we're going to link summon a copy of Disciple and Devotee. We'll activate the effect of Disciple, tributing Devotee for a couple of copies of tokens. After that, we're going to link summon a copy of Wicked and a copy of Link Haribo, so we can trigger the effect of Wicked, followed by the effect of Lord to special summon a Division from hand. We'll tribute the Wicked to bring back a Subtra and a Nabla, and eat a Nibiru. It's even in defense position. Okay, we can still salvage this as long as they don't negate our monster reborn. Ugh. Well, we can walk over the rock, but this token is going to have to put in a lot of work. Our opponent's going to activate Will to bring back Sunlight Wolf, and all of a sudden, I understand that this game is very over. Alright, so it's time for Game 2, and okay, I chickened out. We're going first. I just didn't think we'd be able to beat the massive amount of negates that I expect my opponent to end on. More importantly, I don't think doing fair things in a matchup this lopsided is going to help. Imperial Order does stuff, and Will of the Salamangreat is stuff. I just hope it's enough. We're going to lead with a copy of Balancer Lord. We'll test for infinite impermanence real quickly, before special summoning a copy of Sigma and a copy of Adion. After that, we're going to link summon a copy of Disciple and a copy of Devotee. We'll activate the effect of Disciple to get a couple of tokens off of Devotee, before link summoning a Wicked and a copy of Link Haribo. Our opponent ashes, but I am more than happy to get rid of this Called by the Grave before it loses all of its power forever. We're going to turn off the Ash in our hand for a turn, but it's not that big of a deal. We'll special summon a Enabler from hand to go into a division, and a division to get an Addion from graveyard. There's Dalimbertion, and there's Imperial Order. What a turn 1 setup. Always remember to activate the graveyard effect of division for added BM. Our opponent's going to normal summon a copy of Flame Buffalo. It's not like we could Ash even if we weren't being chain blocked here. They're going to draw a couple of cards, none of which help. We'll activate Imperial Order, and now the waiting game begins. Okay, so Impermanence does less than nothing. We'll attack into the Balinx and pass it back. Our opponent draws their own Impermanence for turn. Uh-oh. They're going to normal summon a copy of Falco and go to Balinx. They'll bring back this copy of Jack Jaguar to go into a Phoenix. We do have the Impermanence for it, and in their haste, they neglect to set the Impermanence of their own. We have about 1 turn to do this, and that's a card. Unfortunately, it's not a Nabla. We'll just attack for 1100 and pass it back to our opponent. Things are going to have to change pretty quickly here. They're going to set 2 cards and pass it back to us. Ugh, setting 1 defense position monster is so strong against our deck. We'll attack into it and then get in for a measly 1,000 points of damage. Our opponent draws for turn. It's a roar. It doesn't matter. They'll activate Impermanence, targeting our monster and negating our Imperial Order. Afterwards, we can negate their circle, but we can't stop their will. They'll use Jack Jaguar to bring itself back. They'll use Sea Archiver's effect. They'll use Falco's effect. Yikes. They're going to update Jammer here, and I don't realize until this point in the combo that I'm actually dead. We'll take 800, 1500, and then another 28. So we're back with the deck, and wow! I didn't expect a deck this linear to end up so adaptable. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1, its 2 lines are particularly powerful. Yes, it's adept at OTKing, but the Order steals just as many striker sets. 2, it's consistent. You might have balked at a list playing 3 of a bunch of cards we aim to add to the hand, but it turns out that maxing out on Mathmech makes for repeated openers with the same action. And 3, it's unexpected. Like Crusadia, there are often games you just accidentally win, and there's nothing more awesome than looking at an Orchest player's face fall as they realize the attack position Galate guaranteed you the game. And the cons. 1, its going first line isn't particularly offensive. I mean, sure, you get to lock 80% of the metagame under Order, but without the ability to follow it up with action, they are more than happy to set some hand traps in defense and pay you out. 2, the lack of piercing hurts. In games 2 and 3, you can bet your opponent will leave exactly 0 monsters in attack mode, requiring you to jump through a ton of hoops to get in. And 3, it doesn't have the chops to keep up with the metagame. I mean, Crusadia occasionally snuck into Top Cut, but this archetype is too disruptible, too combo reliant, and too easy to play around to do the same. All in all, it's a cool deck. If you're a nerd, I certainly don't feel like I missed much when skipping statistics. So that's that. While I appreciate all of my viewers, a special thanks to my patrons, especially Crispy, Sir Tachyon, Utterly J, Miko Reichman, Distrin, Lucas Geardis, Adam Trevino, Second, Lieutenant Labcoat, Fiore, Meepmoto27, Burrito Man 93, Adrian Bra, Adam Sundquist, Isaac Jackson, and Donnie Fillerup. If you want to see me play the decks I make on this show on stream, I'm on twitch.tv/mbtygo every Monday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.